Welcome back, everyone, to the eCoreAcademy e-learning platform. My name is AJay Raj, back with another eCore Express Java lesson for you all. And in this lesson, we're going to be covering our exercise 4.5. It's the fifth exercise in our fourth unit on loops. It's the final exercise. We're going to be taking a look at the for loop, essentially. This is going to be all about the for loop and a little bit more of a complex exercise. We're going to practice the concept of using for loops to make our program more adaptive to the user. This exercise topic is going to be on a company. It's a plant company, and we're going to be creating shipping labels customized to the user. In order to do that, we need to create an adaptive piece of code, and the for loop does just that. So in the exercise, I'm going to be showing you how to actually utilize the for loop, making your program more adaptive, I'm going to be doing it with you live, going through the process with you, and actually testing the exercise, testing the program for the exercise as well. So first things first, let's switch over to our Eclipse workspace. All right, everyone. So as you can see on my screen, I'm on my Eclipse workspace. Under my Unit 4 loops package that I've already created, I just created a new class, and this is called PlantShipping. That's the name of this exercise, so you can do the same. And down here, we have our exercise prompt. So let's take a look at the prompt before we actually start to create our program code. Right, let me just decrease my webcam size. All right, so as you can see here, the exercise prompt tells us to create a shipping label for the company called George's PlantShipping Corp. So we're going to be creating a shipping label, and obviously, as the title said, we're going to be utilizing a for loop for this. So we're going to allow the user to input how many crates of plants they would like to order from the company, and then we're going to create a program that will print an individual shipping label for each crate, including the name of the company's address, and the crate number. For example, if the individual enter that they want 5 total crates from the company George's PlantShipping Corp., then for each individual crate, we have to print out to the console a separate shipping label that'll say the company's name, the company's address, and then the unique crate number. So say, for example, if you have 5 crates, then we have to say crate 1 of 5, crate 2 of 5, crate 3 of 5, crate 4 of 5, crate 5 of 5. That's going to print out 5 separate bundles of code to our console, labeling each crate number and then the specific information that we said here, the name of the company, the address, and obviously that crate number. And for the extra info, we know that the company's name is called George's PlantShipping Corp. That's going to go on each shipping label. And also we're going to put the company's address. That's the other piece of information, as well as the crate number. This is the address here, Bismarck, North Dakota, 13700. All right, so now that we have that extra info done here, we have all the info that we need for our shipping label. We just have to create a for loop here. Now you're thinking, why exactly do we need to create a for loop for this function? If you think about it, the individual is entering how many total crates that they want from the company. Now we have to create a code that's more adaptive. It'll print out how many total number of shipping labels that they need, and it'll designate numbers for each crate number out of the total number of crates that they need. So we can't just create a regular code. That code's not good. If we just create a regular code that doesn't go through a loop, we don't know how many times we have to create that shipping label. A certain person might want 1 crate, so another person might want 3 crates. If we just create a code that prints out the shipping label and just a standard shipping label, we won't be able to make it adaptive to a large variety of numbers of shipping labels. That's going to be extremely hard to do. Even with an if-else ladder, creating an if statement for if they enter one crate that they want, we print out these many shipping labels. That takes way too long, and it's not as adaptive. So creating a for loop, it'll create it for any amount of crates that they enter. All right, so let's create our actual code here. So let's enter this down here, put our exercise prompt at the bottom. All right, and if we scroll up here, we're going to the top of our program here. Now, the first thing that we need to do is, because we're reading in a number, the one number that we're going to be utilizing this whole code is the number of crates that the user wants. We're going to be reading that in from the console window. That means we're going to have to use our keyboard reader function. So at the top here, on top of public class, we're going to be doing our import function. So we're going to say import turtle graphics dot keyboard reader. It's going to just look just like this, turtle graphics dot keyboard reader. We're importing that function from turtle graphics, the folder. And then down here, we're going to declare that function here, keyboard reader. So we're going to say keyboard reader equals new keyboard reader. And we'll just end that off with a semicolon. And then, like I said before, the one value that the only integer, the only variable that we're going to be utilizing in this program is the amount of crates that the individual wants to get shipped from this company. So we're going to be creating an integer for that because we don't need to create a double. They're not going to be shipping a half a crate. They can only ship whole crates. We're going to call this variable crates. So that's going to be the total number of crates that the user wants to be shipped from the company, total crates of plants. So down here, we're going to be creating a system.out.println statement here. We're going to just be asking the user how many crates of plants. Put a colon here. And that's just asking them to enter how many crates of plants they want. And we're going to store the amount of crates that they want, whatever integer value they enter. We're going to store that in the variable called crates. So we're going to say crates equals reader.readInt. It's going to read in the integer value of, it's going to read in the number that they actually enter, reading it as an integer, and it's going to store how many crates they want in the variable called crates. So now we know how many crates the user wants. That's going to help us print out our shipping labels. So now that we've gotten the information that we needed from the user, now we can go ahead and create our for loop function. So this for loop is going to be where we're going to be using our, the power of loops, specifically for loops, to actually print out that shipping label as many times as they need for how many crates they need. So up here in our for loop here, we're going to create our local integer. We're going to initialize our integer. We're going to set it equal to 1 this time. I'm going to explain why we're setting it equal to 1. So, and then we're going to be saying our integer I is less than or equal to crates, semicolon, I++. So I'll explain what this means here. So as you can see here, we're going to say our integer I is equal to 1. We're initializing the value as equal to 1 because we know that we know that they're going to have a minimum of 1 crate shipped for how many crates they want. It's going to be a minimum of 1 crate shipped. So we're going to say that I is equivalent to 1. And the reason why we're saying this here is if, say, for example, the number of crates that they want is equal to 0, if they don't want any crates at all, what we're going to do here is it's going to automatically, the function is going to run once. So if their value of crates they want is equal to 0 and our initial I value is equal to 1, that means that if 1 is less than or equal to 0, this function won't run, because if they say that they want 0 crates, we initialize the variable I as 1, first starting value. It's going to enter into our conditional statement here. It's going to say 1 is less than or equal to 0. The number of crates if they enter is 0. Then what's going to happen is the for loop's not even going to run. So if they want 0 crates, it won't print out any shipping labels. If we set I equal to 0 like we normally do, it's going to run once. It's going to say I is equal to 0. 0 is less than or equal to 0 here in our conditional statement, and it's going to run once, and it's going to print out a shipping label that says 0 of 0 crates. Now, we don't need any shipping labels if they want 0 crates. So here we said for integer I is equal to 1. Here we're saying I is less than or equal to the amount of crates. So that means that the I value here, if it's less than or equal to the number of crates that they want, it'll print it out once. The reason why we say less than or equal to here is because we set this I value equal to 1. We want to say less than or equal to because if they have 1 crate that they want, so we said, well, just 1 crate, then it'll still print out the number of shipping labels that they need, not just more than 1 crate. That's why since we had to create this integer I equal to 1 here, initialize it as 1 because of the property of 0, we had to set this less than or equal to the number of crates. And then after, obviously, every time it runs, we're going to increase I by 1. So every time it runs, it's going to increase I by 1, and it's going to increase the crate number every time we increase I. So it's going to increase the amount of times the loop is going. So every time the loop runs, increases the counter I by 1, and that's going to be the actual crate number of each time we each time we're printing out the shipping label. All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, explaining what the for loop is essentially constructed of, we're going to create our println statement here. So we're going to say system.out.println. And then here it's going to be a whole lot of information. So the first thing that we need to print is the address. So every shipping label is going to have an address. So we can start by just printing out our common address here. We're going to say not the address. We're going to start with the company's name. So every shipping label is going to have the company's name first. No matter what crate number it is, it's going to have the company's name. So we're going to say George's Plant Shipping. I said \n just to enter from this previous line of code so that it's not mushed up. So we're just saying enter just to create more space on our console, make it more organized because it is a shipping label. Then after this, we're going to say another \n here. What that's going to do is going to enter to the next line because remember, shipping labels are very organized in their information. So the first line of the shipping label is going to say George's Plant Shipping. We're going to enter, and now we're going to be entering. Now we're going to be typing in, George's Plant Shipping Core. That's the name of the company. So then we're going to be entering, and then we're going to be typing in the address of the company. So we're going to say Bismarck, North Dakota, 13700. And then we're going to be putting in \n because we entered in the address. We want to go to a new line, and we're putting in new information. And the last piece of information we have to put in is the actual crate number here. Let me scroll over. We're going to say \n. We're going to say the crate number. And then we're going to say here, in order to actually calculate what the crate number is, outside of the double quotes here, we're going to exit the quote here, and we're going to be typing in our variable. We're going to be putting in the variable I here, because remember, that's why we created this variable I. We're increasing it by 1 in our for loop every time the for loop runs. So every time the for loop runs, we know that we're increasing each crate number by 1. So if we have 5 total crates, we're going to be starting by with the value I is going to be equal to 1. Then it's going to increase to 2, because every time the for loop runs, it's going to increase by 1 by 1 by 1 by 1. So that's essentially equivalent to what the crate number is. So we're essentially going to print out the variable I, and this variable will update every time the for loop runs. So this variable I is going to be representative of the crate number. So we can put that outside of the double quotes because it's a variable, and it's not going to be printing out text. And we're going to say of, and then outside of this, we're going to be saying of. So we're going to say the number of the crate. So say, for example, it's number 1. It's the first crate, and the user wanted to have a total of 5 crates shipped to them. So then they would say crate number 1 of 5. So this variable here would be the crate number, and then this outside here would be the total number of crates that they wanted. So we're going to put our variable here. We called it crates, so we're going to print out that variable crates here. And then we're going to close off our statement here. So all that's doing here is it's going to say the number 1, say for example number 2, number 3, number 4 of the total number of crates that they wanted. It could be like 5 crates as an example. And this number I would be updating and reprinting out the shipping label, updating the shipping label every time we go through the for loop. All right, so that's basically it for our for loop here. It was a little bit more complicated in terms of just understanding the thought process, but as you can see, it's a very slim amount of code that we actually used here. Just a very few amount of lines, under 25. So that's pretty good. All right, so now that we've created our for loop here, let's actually test it out. Let's print it out to our console. So it's going to be asking how many crates of plants we want. I'll say I want 5 crates of plants. We'll hit enter. And as you can see here, it's going to print out crate number. It's going to print out the first shipping label, George's Plant Shipping Core. That's the name of the company. Then it's going to enter the address, Bismarck, North Dakota, 13700. And then it's going to print out the crate number. I forgot to put spaces, but it's saying crate number 1 of 5. And then below, it's going to print out the second shipping label, crate number 2 of 5, crate number 3 of 5, crate number 4 of 5, and crate number 5 of 5. Because we wanted 5 total crates, printed out an individual shipping label for each crate number, for each individual crate. So that actually worked out. So every time this for loop runs, it's going to be updating the value of I until that value of I is less than or equal to, until that value of I is greater than the total number of crates that they wanted. And for each crate number, it's going to be printing out a separate shipping label from our code here. All right, everyone, so that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe down below, and feel free to leave a comment as well. Check out our website at www.ecoreacademy.org, and also visit all of our socials that are linked in the description box down below. It's greatly appreciated. My name is AJay Raj. I hope you all enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you all in the next video.